Hello, I'm Lise Colucci, and I'm one of the life coaches at queenbeing.com, where we help you to discover, understand, and overcome narcissistic abuse in toxic relationships. Hello, tree hugger. And we're talking today about self-care. Self-care 101. Who's it for? What is it? Why do you need it? All the good stuff. So we're going to let this do its crazy thing and say hello to everybody. Hello, Butterfly Mama. Hello, if Erica is here, I am wearing the red lipstick just for you. And feeling a little silly with red lipstick. I don't know why, but there we go. So, hi, Karina. Hello. Who else is in here? There's a bunch of you here. Say hello so I can say hello while it's doing its crazy delay thing so we can get started. Today, thank you, Butterfly Mama. There we go. There we go. Okay, so self-care. Hi, Nikki. I love that there's regular people and I can say hi and I pretend I know who you are. Hello, Patrice. I know who you are. So self-care 101. Let's talk about it. What is self-care? Let's start there. Self-care, in my opinion, is a lifestyle of putting yourself as a priority, putting yourself as important, a priority, taking care of yourself, understanding how to nurture yourself, what you need when you're going through certain experiences in your life, what you need when you're down, what you need when you're happy. You know, it's a way of taking care of your emotional state, taking care of your body, taking care of your physical surroundings. It's a way of taking care of yourself. It is a lifestyle that you learn to incorporate into your life. It's something that is severely depleted during narcissistic abuse, during toxic relationships, during depression, during anything that is weighing down on you and taking your focus. It can even be depleted in your life, and especially even be depleted in your life when you're having good things going on, like jobs, new jobs, or very busy lives, or if you are, have little children or even older children, if you're taking care of other people, if you're in any kind of relationship, self-care can go out the window, but toxic ones especially. So who this is for is pretty much everyone. But it's really important for people who don't understand that it isn't just the occasional going and getting a manicure, going and getting a massage. Yes, that's part of self-care, but self-care, especially after toxic abuse, is something that you need to start putting into your life every single day. And it helps you get through things. It helps you get through triggers. It helps you get through the monumental pain that you feel every day. It helps you get through the tiny things that happen later on. It helps you get, once you're healed and you're on your way toward, a more thriving lifestyle, it helps you to maintain it. And it helps you to, okay, so when you start going back out there in the world and like getting involved with people, getting involved with experiences in life, the rejection, the blows, the other shoe dropping happens on a regular basis because you're exposing yourself to risk, right? The self-care comes into play then because it helps you to move through those times at a much more rapid pace and at a much more easy and gentle, having that be much more easy and gentle on yourself. So let's go with what do we do? We did what is it and who it's for, and why you need to do this, because frankly, no one can do it for you. Okay, if you're continually spending your life looking for external validation, you will never be satisfied or fulfilled. You will continually be bouncing from one thing to another, one person to another, and frankly, draining things and draining people along the way, and using people along the way. And we don't mean to, but that's what happens. We have to be able to take care of ourselves. It's adulting, and it's kind of what we need to do to live a life where our emotional intelligence can continue to grow, right? So also understand that a lot of people struggle with, let's say they leave a narcissistic relationship and they immediately or they very rapidly want someone to jump in and help and save them. Like, helping them is one thing, but like maybe they'll try to jump into relationships too soon, or they will usually that's what I'm thinking is what happens when you're trying to replace that thing where you feel that loneliness and that emptiness and that hole in your life, and you're trying to just fill that emptiness with somebody else what happens is you're asking for somebody else to take care of your emotional needs. You're not taking care of your emotional needs and meeting that other person from that place. So as you're trying to go out, even if it's friends or whatever you're trying to do with yourself, going out and meeting people, to be fair to everyone else, to be fair to yourself, you need to have a high level of self-care in order to build your self-worth and your self-esteem up. So Nikki Ann is saying, I like to think self-care is forcing myself to do all the healthy stuff I know I should do, but I don't want to do. That's part of it too. It's everything. It's a lifestyle and a change from self-abasement, self-damage. Okay, it's a change from the destructive cycle that we go through often when we are reeling and in that state of unknowing panic that comes after toxic abuse. You know, when a lot of people go into a self-destructive mode after any relationship ending, a lot of people do that. When your life has been turned upside down, people tend to go into self-destruct mode. Well, instead of self-destruct mode, because narcissistic abuse is so difficult and so painful, it does help people see they need more than self-destruction. They do tend to see that they need something else to help build themselves up, and self-care is the way rather than self-destruction. It's becoming your own little time bomb waiting to go off, right? The mental aspect is the hardest part for me, right? And that's it. So self-care is another thing of what it is. It isn't just one thing. It's in your mind, it's in your body, it's in your emotions, it's in your spiritual life, it's in everything. The narcissist affects everything. They affect you head to toe. Every relationship that you're in, regardless if it's toxic or not, when it ends, you have to make a separation from that person. And there is a definite grief and loss that comes from losing a part of yourself, because we tend to give ourselves into relationship, right? So when you're talking about having one with a narcissist, they have permeated all of you. They're in every aspect. They're in your sexuality. They're in your mind. They're in your physical space with your body, right? They affect everything. So self-care is across the board. There's a way to apply it to every piece of your life. Okay. And there's probably I think all of us can use reminders and sort of little boot camps about this, because it's easy once you start feeling better again to let it go as well. And what you will find is, sure, some areas you can totally let go. You don't have to spend your whole life like nose to the grindstone doing the self-care, but you could benefit from seeing where you're out of balance. If you are, well along in your healing right now and you think, I don't really need a lot of self-care, or I already know how to do this, there's a place to look for the balance and find how things aren't working for you. Sometimes we get so out of balance when we're when we're healing, or when we have healed, we throw ourselves into something. You might throw yourself into work and just be like consumed with work, because that's the only thing that could get your mind off of what you were doing and it really works. Or you get consumed with one piece of your life, but then like you may get really consumed with exercise and get totally fit and strong, and your body's healthy and you're doing better than you ever had. And you've got what they call that the total revenge body, it's all going on for you. But then you look around and your house is a mess and your finances are a mess and everything else is falling in place. So balance is another piece of self-care that is important. It all fits together. Okay. Timely topic. You're welcome. Any questions or any thoughts, please start chiming in with them. And I'm just shooting off the hip here. So anything you guys say will add to what I'm saying, and that will be helpful. Thank you. Hello, this topic is so important to me. My self-care has gone from about an 8 or a 9 to a 3 over the few years with a narcissist. Grateful to have this group. Thank you for the support. You're welcome, Belle. Exactly. And that's what happens, because you spend your life caring for another person, and that other person is toxic and a taker, and they're not giving anything back. And I have to say that this is not just people who are in relationships with narcissists, but people who are givers in general, people who are just givers. I mean, I don't have anyone toxic in my life right now, and I give and give and give and give and give all day long. Nobody's taking toxically, but there's a giving going on 24/7, right? It's giving to everybody. So if I don't have self-care, I would not be sitting here talking and smiling. Okay, so you know what I'm saying? Like you have to learn that we are givers. You have to learn where your empathy lies and how your empathy comes forth in this world. We're not all the same. We're not all empaths. Some of us aren't, and we're still empathic people. We still have empathy and we care, but we're not all, there's different levels and there's different ways people are. But givers in general really have to watch that they learn what self-care is if they want to maintain their own strength and their own having anything coming back to yourself. I just read an article this weekend. I can't remember where or what it was. I sat there sobbing because it was about the girl that gives and saying that, okay, this red lipstick is getting my hair on. Okay, so tunnel vision and learning moderation. Yes, I need help with that. Tunnel vision. Okay. Okay, so because yours is blurry. Yours is the you said you're having trouble with mind stuff, right? Mental self-care. Okay, remind me of that in just a moment. And what was I talking about? Article. There was an article about the giver girl, they called it, but we could say girl guy, right? Because there's both genders can be equally givers. So it was about how he gives and gives and gives and gives and gives to everyone, their friends, to family, to strangers, to nature, to society, to, the giving is constant and that's part of who they are. And it's a lovely, beautiful thing to be that way and to be that person. And it does give you back something, right? It gives you something back. However, when you're in need, when you are truly in need, and that can happen at any moment, any time, and it can be as minuscule as you got a splinter to as large as you lost the love of your life. You know what I mean? It can be huge, it can be tiny. That when you're in need, you look around and there's nowhere to turn. And So the whole point of that article was you need to be that for yourself. If you're giving this much out to everybody else, we need to learn to take all that amazing giving energy that we have and focus it back on ourselves. And then we have something actually genuine to give to someone else. And we're not depleted at the same time. So, okay. Those are important reasons why self-care is important for everyone, no matter what stage of healing you're at and no matter who you are, or if you've ever even known what a narcissist is. It doesn't matter. It has nothing to do with narcissist, except for that after abuse, it's like vitally important. And to me, it is the number one way to break the trauma bonds. Self-care and recognizing that person is who they are no matter what. That person is what they are. Okay, seeing the absolute truth of the person and self-care is the combination that I think works really well to help break trauma bonds, or at least get you where you're able to see, above the fog. So, okay. Hi, Vicki and Fancy in web education. Let's see. I wanted to keep them calm, avoid criticisms. I put their needs before mine. Right. Exactly. And you can see, like, after anyone toxic, and even as a giver, we do this even with non-toxic people, right? We're giving and they keep taking and there's no return on the giving. And so you really end up depleted. How do you not seem like a hard nose when using boundaries and using the word no? Sometimes you just become a hard nose. It's okay. It depends on the situation. You can say things like, thank you for asking. That's not going to work for me right now. You can say, I'm unable to do that right now, but thank you. Or thank you for understanding that I can't be there to whatever. Does that help? Some phrasing, I don't know. Depends on the situation, right? And understanding that, okay, being a little bit hard-nosed is not a bad thing. And other people being upset that you said no is not your problem. All right? It's their problem. If you can say it in a polite way, you've done nothing wrong except place a boundary. Actually, you've done nothing wrong and you've placed a boundary. That's what I meant to say. All right. Yeah, and smile when you say, no thanks, that's okay. That's what Vicki is suggesting. All right. What is a good idea to keep the balance in different aspects of self-care? Well, okay, so let's talk about that. That's the what. What about self-care? What can we learn about it? Well, we can learn where we are not applying it. We can look at our lives. You pay attention. You pay attention through your day. And after this, I'm going to give some examples of how to. So pay attention to where you feel drained, where you feel tired, where you feel like you're not getting enough, where you're having a hard time. What is going on? Have you had an experience in your life that caused some drama? What part of you is it affecting? It's not always the same. Sometimes it just makes your stomach hurt and your body just needs care, right? Sometimes it affects you in the emotions, right? Usually, right? And so then an emotional self-care might be needed. Sometimes it affects you in your emotions, but your mind's what won't stop spinning. So then there's where you need to put some focus. But if you find yourself going too far into one thing, like that's all you're doing, then take a check and observe the rest of your life. It's actively being in yourself. That's what self-care is. It's actively occupying yourself and growing your emotional intelligence to understand what you need in the moment and take care of that need. Okay. And it's not easy. It's not to say you never rely on anyone, right? Or you don't turn to someone for comfort, or you don't talk to your friends, because sometimes talking to your friends is self-care. If you're a person like me, speaking about your own stuff, sorry, cuss words are in my head, nice words are coming out the mouth. Speaking about your own stuff then is difficult, right? And it's difficult to burden other people with your troubles. So for me, it's an effort, but it's also an act of self-care to trust someone and ask for help, right? So it just depends on who you are and what your needs are. So you learn your needs and you learn where you're not giving to yourself in those situations. And then you can see how to find balance. Does that help, Butterfly? I forget to execute, but I think self-care is putting your own oxygen mask on first on an airplane so you can help others. Exactly. Does that work? Okay. I'm so angry with myself because I fell for the lies this past weekend. I fed into the let's be... okay. You're so tired. Okay, so self-care is needed right now for you, Belle. You're tired. Get some rest. You see? Listen to yourself. And I'm going to take your example there. You described you're angry with yourself. You're tired. You feel deceived because of the lies. So those are some really, you've got two emotional things going on just in that sentence, plus a physical thing. You're tired. You're actually tired. So for something like that, I would take a walk. I would process what happened by taking a walk, letting it out, going, I can tell you what I do. It's a little crazy, but I'll tell it. And then coming home and taking a nap. Or if you can't get a nap, literally just sit down for 5 minutes. If you put a timer on so you get those full 5 minutes, or make a cup of tea and sit till that cup of tea is gone. Something to slow your body down and let it feel the rest that you're giving it. It may not recharge you right away, but just giving to yourself emotionally feels good. Does that make sense? So you see how you look for the needs and you start to apply some nurturing and some care, and it actually feeds into the rest of your life. Let's see. Yes, and Alana is making a very good point to you, Bella. Do not be so hard on yourself. You are making progress by being here. You're making progress all the time. And being angry with yourself because you fell for it, you're trauma bonded, love. And it's a tricky, slippery slope when you're trauma bonded to not, as you're saying, fall for it. You're not falling for it. You're just in a cycle. Okay. You're in this cycle, and at some point you won't be in this cycle when it's right for you to get out of this cycle. Right. Okay. I do jumping jacks when my negative energy is all crazy, especially if I get anxious. It makes me feel better. Good. That's perfect. See, I think movement is important. Let me get to that, a quick how-to, and then I'll tell you what I do. And then you guys keep chiming in because it's good. So, and I think it helps because you get stagnant with ideas, right? Sharing self-care ideas is super great because it's hard to think of stuff on your own because you think, well, what nurtures me? I don't know. I've noted what to do for someone else, but I don't know what to do for me. So number one, self-care, understand where you need nurturing. So understand that you're already doing it. Let's put it that way. You're already applying self-care in your life. What you're not doing is paying attention to it. You already do multiple things. And this is how I start my self-care group coaching every single time. So here we go. This is where we start. What are you doing for yourself every day anyway? You are eating, you're getting out of bed. Let's start there. You're getting out of bed, you're putting some clothes on, you're taking a shower, you're brushing your teeth, just the basic stuff, okay? You're eating a meal, you're making some coffee probably, or some tea or whatever you're making. You are getting dressed for work, you're taking showers, you're driving, you are having thoughts, okay? You're thinking. You're doing all these things for yourself anyway. What we do in our life is we mechanically, like robots, go through our day without paying any attention to what we're doing for ourselves. Okay, so when you are super low and when you are in a state where self-care is impossible, there's no time, you still have a narcissist around you, you're in a toxic situation, you're reeling from a breakup, you're months out of a breakup and you can't see your way out. You find yourself using people to make you feel better and you end up hurting them in the process, things like that. That's when you look at your life and go, wait, okay, slow down. What am I doing for myself? I need to be doing this. I need to take care of me. Okay. So as you're doing those things, as you're eating, as you're taking a shower, as you're getting dressed, do so with love for oneself. What I mean by that is, do not just slam the food down and not think about it. Make something that you actually enjoy. And if you don't have time for something you enjoy, make something decent. Okay. Sit yourself down. Don't just stand there at the counter, unless standing out there at the counter is a pleasure, which it is for me. I like to stand and eat sometimes. But for some people, that's a rush. That's them not thinking about themselves. So make sure you put yourself in a position that you feel comfortable. Eat your meal. Pay attention to at least one bite of that food. That was good. That was nice. And then go ahead and slam it back if you have to hurry, right? Pay attention to that first sip of coffee. Nothing's better in the morning, right? Okay. Make it like you like it. Do things for yourself. But notice, I'm doing this for myself. I'm making my coffee for me, just like you would as you're doting on other people. It's like you would for a small child. This like you would for, unfortunately, a narcissist, right? Just like you would for anyone that you're trying to please. Do the thing, okay? The shower, same thing. Get that shampoo you like. Do not use everybody else's, get yours. And if you can't afford that, find something, a little tiny bar of soap that smells really good, something that you can have just for yourself during that time. I call my shower the cry chamber because that's where I go to just wail. Okay. And honestly, it's great because you just already got the water and you're getting all puffy and it doesn't matter. And you just kind of wash it off. It's all good. So, but you take care of yourself there and you know that you are doing something for yourself. You're not just getting wet and then getting dry again. Okay. There's time in that space. Do you see what I'm saying? A lot of us say we don't have time. There's time. There's time in your day. You're already doing it. So we're carving out how to do it. Okay. So another thing might be you drive yourself. Who gets in a car with someone else, gets driven somewhere, gets out of the car, slams the door and walks away without saying thank you? Now, I'm not saying you have to look at yourself in the mirror and be all affirming and say thank you. I mean, that's great if you can do it. But if that's weird, just think to yourself, I'm grateful I took myself here safely. Thank you. You know what I mean? Be appreciative of what you do for yourself all day long. I have heard people say that is the one thing that they tried, what I'm telling you right now, and it has changed their whole view on self-care. And it has made it actually kind of fun, but it's taken about 2 to 4 weeks, okay, of actually seriously applying it. So, and when I'm talking about this today, this is coaching, okay? This is not just me saying, this might work, this might not work. You have to do it. I almost cussed there too. You have to do it. You have to do it. No one can do this for you. Self-care is self-initiated, okay? I can cheer you on and I can smile and we can talk about it all day long, but you're the one that has to apply it. And you can't sit there, well, you can. It doesn't benefit you to sit there and talk yourself out of it in a negative way. This isn't going to work. This isn't going to help, blah, 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 blah. It's not guaranteed going to help you in one try. It's not going to feel better right away unless it's something really awesome. It's not. It's going to feel ridiculous sometimes. It's going to feel useless. It's going to feel like it's meaningless. But all of these things are drops in the bucket toward a lifestyle that is created so that you can put that oxygen mask on first. All right. Is that making sense? I do feel that way, and I feel a chore is a chore. I need to change my way of looking at it. I have a lovely herbal soap to use. It can be a pleasurable experience. It can, and it can be where you think. It can be where you get 5 minutes, 10 minutes, however long you can take in there to yourself. It can be a retreat. Okay. It can be an escape from what's going on the outside in a good way, not an escape in a negative way that is self-destructive. Self-destructive patterns in our lives are the ones that lead us to things feeling like a chore, right? Or self-numbing type of things, like the overuse of alcohol or drugs or something. That is not self-care. That is self-harming. All right. So what else? I got severely ill during my relationship. Self-care now is also a lot cheaper. I don't understand. I missed something. Okay. Sorry you got ill. We do, right? It's physically hard on our bodies. A nap, yes. A walk in my favorite park that has a choice of a hike or a gentle walk, but it's a lovely wooded area with flowers. I love it there. I think I need to return. It's beautiful. So here's what I did today. This is my daily, this is what I did for self-care today. Had an experience that sent me reeling. Okay. And I'm thinking, okay, I got to go on live. And I don't want to look like I look right now. I don't want to feel like this. Okay. I want to feel like myself again. I had something happen where I really took on someone else's energy in not a negative way, just a big way. And I needed self-care. Okay. I took it on huge and it just absorbed it, right? As we do. And it was some heavy stuff. Okay. It's some deep, heavy stuff that made me feel like I wasn't myself. And in the process, there was like an element of how do I word this? There was an element of kind of a strange rejection. It's not really rejection, but it kind of is. And you know what I mean? Like it was just all mixed up. So it got emotional a little bit, but not really. Sort of mental. It sort of like played into my triggers. That's what it did. Let's put it that way. It played into my triggers big time. My abandonment, my isolation, my you're not good enough, like all the stuff that I've worked forever to claw my way up from. Right there I was in that moment. Also coupled with big energy that isn't mine, and coupled with kind of a sadness that this has taken place, because it's not nobody's fault. It's just, it is what it is, right? So that's all a little personal, but that I'm showing you that this is even after abuse. What I'm trying to illustrate is that we have experiences in our life that can take us right back there. Okay. And they can trigger us and bring us way back down. And if we don't know how to use self-care, how do you get out of it? I could have sat there all day today. I could have been reeling and, rolling around and crying and whatever, but no, or freaking out or not knowing what to do with all this energy. And frankly, I didn't really know what to do. I just thought, okay, let's try some self-care. So I went on a walk, exactly what you're talking about. And I let myself just cry on this walk, just like, I don't care. I don't care who sees me. And I just walked and I thought and I felt and I cried. And then I realized my posture was horrible. So I stood up really tall and I just looked the world square in the face and let myself be me, having the experience of what I was having. And it is a little crazy because, yeah, people see you. But so this isn't for everyone, but this is what I did. I'm telling you, the trees took it, the nature took it, the movement took it. And I felt, I'd say 98% better by the time I was done with that walk. So self-care is huge. Okay. And being out in nature and moving and knowing what you need, like checking all your parts. You see how I went through and I went, okay, I wasn't like check, but I realized that my posture had changed and it was taking on the posture of the beliefs I had. And so I lifted up that posture, even though I'm sobbing like a baby walking down the trail. And it's okay because at a certain point I just started laughing. And, I wasn't obviously like, I didn't want other people have reactions. So I didn't want that. So I would obviously put on a smile and wave and just keep walking, but it was kind of liberating and freeing to be able to apply self-care in a way that I needed in that moment and actually have it work. So that's one thing. You can move, walk. And that was an example just to say, because I always say, go take a walk. And people go, yeah, I'll go take a walk. Or walking helps, but you see it does move things. And that's an example of how sometimes a good cry does the trick for me as well. Right. And that was a good one because it had movement and it had nature and it had my solitude and it didn't matter what was going on around me, right? Okay. Self-care keeps you healthy. For example, I picked up 5 cavities during the relationship when before the relationship, I did not have any. Exactly. Because you're not taking care of yourself, right? And your body is having a reaction to it. So what else do you guys need help with self-care wise, since we're here? Before I keep just telling you tale after tale of things I can think of off the top of my head. Belle says I need to release the energy as well that I have. A brisk walk would do the same for me. It does. It's amazing. Let's see. Thank you for sharing your story. I was in those woods I spoke of earlier, and I too have cried. A butterfly followed me. Yes, so beautiful. And I stopped it, and it landed on my hand. It was magical. Oh, I love it. I took my little dog with me, and every time I sniffle, she licks my hand. She's really good at, she's like the little empath healer dog, right? So every time I sniffle, she'll run up and lick the top of my hand. So, okay. Anything else you guys can think of for self-care, or any questions? What am I missing here? Who, what, where, when, how, why? I think we got all those covered. But what else am I missing here? How to do it for your mind. Okay. Self-care for your mind can be things like where you see yourself perseverating on a thought, or having an experience of where you can't get something out of your head, you know what I'm saying? Or where your mind is telling you things about your beliefs and you don't want to believe those things, like things that are negative and limiting your life. So finding other things to do with your mind, puzzles, word puzzles like crossword puzzles or Scrabble, or something that gets your mind engaged in something else, number puzzles. Affirmations are good for that because they go from the mind into the emotions and to the beliefs. So having affirmations at hand to use. Let's see what else. Planning is good for that. Planning a class to take, planning a vacation, planning something for work. Helping other people can be good for that because it can take your focus off of yourself, put it on to something external. Don't do this all the time. If you're a giver, this is limited. Okay, this is for specific self-care, right? Using it as it can be an escape for us givers. Okay, helping other people can be beneficial and not so good for us. So we have to watch when we're doing it. But helping other people in ways where especially you have to use your mind to figure out how to help them, or like actively helping them instead of just talking about it, but like maybe going out and building something with the crew, pulling weeds at a park, you know, that kind of volunteer stuff can help to where it's not personal. So the personal giving I would limit if you're feeling depleted, but the big picture giving I think is still beneficial. Does that make sense? Not for everybody. Some people can be personal too, but for some of us, we have to cut back on that personal for a little bit and go to bigger picture stuff. Okay. You watch funny animal videos or you color. That's good. Yes, that's for your mind. Yeah, you know, getting your mind on comedy, that's a good one because it takes wit and intelligence to get comedy, right? Not some things are just funny because something falls over, but still your mind gets engaged, right? So if anything funny, that's a really good example. Anything funny to you is super useful to get your mind off of things. And it's self-care. It's the thing, we want to mull over our problems. We want to think about things deeply. We want to have, especially as deep thinkers, right? And these big feelers with deep thinking. My gosh, you have to be thinking, right? That's why we can't shut down. But if you don't take breaks, you're running a marathon without a break, right? And without training too. We're just going, we're burning it out. So taking the breaks is important. Don't feel like you need to be thinking about this all the time or you're never going to find the answer. Sometimes, hey, look, that's for Erica. I don't do the duck face, so I'm just making a kissy face instead of you. Okay. Okay. At bedtime, I have been using 50-minute Louise Hay YouTube 2-part video, but just listening to first a relaxation and guided meditation. Thank you, Belle. This is another good example. It has been helpful to make a sleep more restorative. Meditation, any kind. Thank you. A meditation, any kind, anytime is good. 10 minutes twice a day is what I tell people, because long ones can be really hard on people with PTSD. It can be hard when you have anxiety. So 5 to 10 minutes, 2 to 3 times a day. Meditation is really amazing for self-care. It regulates your nervous system. It calms the limit. It does all kinds of good stuff for you all over yourself. So do that meditation. And there's many different styles, forms, and types of meditation that you can do. Breathe. Let's follow, like breathe deeply. Relaxation, things like that are important for self-care. What else? What other self-care? What are areas that I'm missing here? Physical, get some exercise, eat well, eat. Oh, I forgot that today. Yes, eat. Eat your food and eat well and eat healthy and give yourself yummy treats once in a while. That's all self-care, right? The better you can fuel your body, the better the rest of your body works. It's the main source of fuel, right? It's the food. So, and the energy that we take in. Anything we're taking in is a source of energy in our bodies. That's why the narcissist wants our energy, because they want to take it in and eat it up, right? But yeah. So, anything else? What else am I missing? Physical, spiritual. Get into nature. Okay. Whether you have a spiritual practice or not, whether you have a religious belief or not. When I say spiritual, I mean the part of yourself that connects outside yourself to everything in the universe, regardless of what your belief is. Okay. I'm not talking about religion. You can use religion for this. Absolutely. Pray, sing, go to church, talk, whatever it is that helps you. That's not what I'm talking about. When I say spirituality, I mean the part of yourself that connects with the universe or your teaching or your belief, but also the everything around you. The part of yourself that has connection on a deep level, no words, no nothing, where you just know you're part of it. That piece needs nurturing. And that is simply done by going in nature, especially for empaths. You don't have to take long, dragged out, exhausting hikes in nature. You can just literally sit under a tree or touch a tree or walk by water. A lot of us are very water oriented. So being near water is very beneficial to us. So put your feet in the water if you can. Earthing with your feet in the earth is very useful to people. It's very spiritual and very nourishing to your body and calming to your nervous system to get your bare feet going into the ground, right? So yeah, things like that are good for us. Self-care for others as well, maybe. Hard to help and be there for others when we are not taking care of us. What do you mean self-care for others as well? Oh, so that you can be there for others? Yeah, that's one way of looking at it too. We do need to be there for the people we care about. And yes, if, like I said in the beginning, if you are a giver, your life is going to always be at some level about giving, because it's not only what we do naturally, but the dogs are totally going to bark because one dog is outside barking. Oh, guys, good dogs. They did it. So, yay, good dogs. Sorry. Okay. So if you're a giver, you're going to keep giving. You're going to give in your life, because it not only is just part of who you are, but it is nourishing and fulfilling to you to give to other people. It's part of your experience of your own self as a human being. All right. Now, that doesn't mean you need to stay codependent, and it doesn't mean you need to give without any thought to why you're giving. Intention with the giving is super important. Knowing where you're giving is super important. Giving into the void is not good for you. Don't do it. When you feel that void and that suck of energy, stop, right? But because of that, yes, we are doing self-care with one thought of, this will help me be there for other people. But it's really about being there for yourself, okay? Because this self-care is about self. It is not selfish. It is not self-oriented. It is not narcissistic, and it is not toxic to anybody else. It may not make people happy that you tell them no. It may not make people overjoyed with you because you're taking care of you and not them, but that's okay. Sometimes we have to let go a little bit of the giving and do a little bit of the giving this direction, okay? Being in the moment, as you said, Lise, I have struggled being present and using all the senses. Oh, thank you. You're on today, Belle. You're just on with me and you're getting it. And you're giving me all the great things I keep forgetting. I got so much joy from watching two squirrels build a nest together. It was amazing. Okay, your senses. That's a way into almost every aspect of your being. Okay. It's a way into your body, your mind, your spirit, and your emotional life. Look around for things that give your senses pleasure. Give your senses a sense of being alive, and notice that you're actually alive. Notice that you feel these things and that you smell these things and that you taste these things, right? And what it tastes like. And notice your senses. When you feel overwhelmed, come to your senses. When you feel like you need self-care because of sadness, come to your senses. Come to your senses, people. Literally, go to your senses, your sense of sight, your sense of smell, your sense of taste and touch, all of it, and hearing. Go turn to that and look for things to nourish those things. Create a kit, a small kit that you can carry with you that has something for each of those pieces, each of those senses, or the most important ones being smell, not most important, the most potent ones being smell. And I would say you could put something in a kit for if you only had a small little room, something, a little bit of oil or something that smells nice, a perfume or whatever you like, on a little cloth that feels nice. So you've got touch and smell at the same time. And then like a little photograph or something of a beautiful thing that you love. And then you've got sight in there too. And those two combined can help you to ground yourself and center and come back into your senses when you're having a trigger. Super great for triggers to come back. Or when you're having a moment where you just can't find yourself, right? You're being swept away. You're overwhelmed. You step away, you pull out your little kit, you smell your little thing, you touch it. It's visceral and it's sensual, and it comes back to you where you have an experience of yourself and your own body and your senses, and it goes straight into your emotional center. So it will help make your emotional center, your emotional parts, right? It'll help make you have a better emotional experience if you have something that the smell is something pleasant to you. Okay. Especially if it's associated with nice things. Don't use a scent that's related to anything negative, or you're just re-triggering yourself, right? One more suggestion that might help others. I have a box of coloring books, including Mandala Course from Queen Being, and all sorts of markers and colored pencils. Put peaceful music in the background. You keep going, Belle. Feed me this, because this is good. Coloring books, art, creativity, anything that gets you. So when you're creative, when you're coloring, when you're drawing, when you're sketching, when you're painting, when you are playing a musical instrument, when you are, I don't know, working with clay, working with anything, beading, Play-Doh, I don't care, whatever it is. When you're creating with your body and your hands and your eyes, you're using all of this focus and attention to create, it takes you out of yourself. It takes you out of that space of sitting in the yuck of what you're feeling, and it puts you into an altered state, right? It's a meditative state when you're creating. And it actually makes my body warm when I get in that kind of space, right? It actually, like, everything changes. My perspective changes. You go into sort of a hypnotic almost state with what you're doing. And it can really, really help you to move through all kinds of negative stuff if you let yourself go there. Okay. So, and coloring is a good idea because it's simple and you can't say, I'm not creative, I don't know how. It's already laid out for you. You just color in the lines. If you don't like coloring, you can use things like knitting or even just tying knots. Anything, just something where you're using your hands and your eyes and you're pouring yourself creatively into something. Okay. And you know what? That's a hard one, especially for creative people. A lot of creative people lose their creativity when they are abused. It's pretty much across the board. Like, they lose that zest and that joy because it's so hard to get into that space of creativity when you are so low and when you're so depleted from other people. So baby steps. If you're finding that it's very frustrating to get creative, try other things first. And then maybe just try something simple like the coloring books or I don't know, something that is, less challenging than your normal mode of creativity if you're a creative person. So, and other people pour themselves into creativity once they get to a certain point, and then that can blossom. So, okay. Maybe setting a small achievable goals in these areas. Set a goal to ride a bike through the whole park. It felt great today. Setting goals is a great one. That works for your mind. It's sometimes your body. It works for your emotions because you get to succeed or fail. Failure's okay. I didn't meet my goal. That's all right. I'll make another goal tomorrow. You learn to move through it, right? And you can also say, you know what? I'm not going to make this goal, but I tried really hard. I'm having a hard day. I'm going to give myself this. I don't need to make that. I don't need, that. So goal setting has to have some flexibility for the element of failure, because failure isn't a bad thing. It's just a restart for the next time, right? Okay. Okay. Anything else? Any other ideas you guys have? Belle, any other ideas? Any other thoughts? What helps you? Sounds like you're on this. Where are you struggling, Belle, with self-care? What part of your life do you feel like you need more help with in the self-care department? We have about 10 more minutes, if that. So anybody has any questions other than self-care, I'm happy to go there too. Or if you have anything you want to say, type it in and I will read it and we'll talk about it. Otherwise, help me out. What am I missing here? This is what happens when I don't even make a note, right? I have to think from off the top of my head live. Which doesn't always work that way. All right. Sometimes let's talk about posture. I talked about that a little. It's a missing area I think a lot of people forget with self-care. When you have something that triggers you, when you have an experience like I talked about, when you have something that puts you off your good, puts you off the good stuff, it makes you feel bad. Look at your posture. When you are bored, look at your posture. When you are basically always be checking your posture. Survivors have a tendency to slump. Survivors have a tendency to look down. We have a tendency to drop our gazes, to lower our smiles, to our body language says a lot. Okay. And it's, I can spot a survivor. Okay. Just looking at them. I mean, I don't know what they have survived, but I know they've survived something. I can spot it in their body language and in the way they carry themselves and the way they present themselves to other people. There's a pulling downward that happens from abuse. So as you lift that up from your heart, right? It's not just pulling your shoulders back and jamming yourself into a posture, really like lifting your chest from your heart and lifting yourself and being open. So hard when you've had abuse. It's so hard to be open to the world. But you know what? Most of the time you're totally safe to do so. Make sure you are safe. Is this a safe place to have an open posture? Yeah, I'm alone in my room. Why not? It's not gonna hurt anything, right? So lift yourself up and feel the difference between how you felt before you changed your posture. Besides, it hurts my back. I'm not talking about that. Feel the difference in your experience of yourself. Even if you can only hold that posture for a second, notice that and you see how that affects your life, because it really can change things when you learn to work with your body and posture and all of that. Okay. Patrice says, I just have an overall issue with receiving and asking for what I need. Okay. I feel uncomfortable having needs. Ooh, and there you go with beliefs. And I love you and your beliefs. I mean, I wish the beliefs were ones that made your life happy. They will be, right? They're getting there. So you feel uncomfortable having needs. And I think that's pretty common. We feel uncomfortable asking for help. We feel uncomfortable or ashamed for having a need. We feel like we don't deserve it. We feel like it's not, like, why bother? There's all kinds of things we feel around that. So that's a deeper kind of self-care where we're changing our belief system. So I would ask myself, what is it I want to feel instead? And I would work to understand that feeling. I want to feel like my needs matter. I want to feel equal to other people. I want to feel, like I'm just making it up. And Okay, what does that feel like? And then write it down. Feels like I matter. It feels like, like write down a paragraph or whatever about what that feels like. Start working on changing the beliefs about why self-care is not okay for you. You can also just use plain old logic. If it's good for them, it's good for me, right? I can see how it's good for her. She just told the story about walking. And I mean, I seriously was able to drop someone else's energy that was stuck on me in 30 minutes. And I don't know if that makes any sense to anybody, but you know what I mean when you can't let something go and it's not yours. I was able to let it go in 30 minutes just from walking and crying and being crazy in the trees, right? So seriously, if it's good for me, it's good for you, right? Not maybe that particular thing, but it's not that I deserve it more than you do. And I, it's not that you would not begrudge me my needs. So that's another way, is just looking at it with that perspective that, okay, well, I can see how it's good for them. It's good for me. They eat food, I eat food. It's the same thing. It is food, my friend. Self-care is, and getting your needs met is a form of food. And that energy is what keeps us healthy. Having that fed back into us. So instead of always giving. Okay. I do not have the house often. I need to start small and build larger and larger goals. Posture is horrid. I want to work up to either walking or taking a bike ride. I live in the perfect area for both, and do it. Just get out there and do it. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, then 15 minutes, Tree Hugger says, I have a problem with self-care when I'm having a bad emotional day and lots of anxiety. I can't fix myself in those moments. My therapist says working myself up, and I'm working myself and I need to. My therapist says I'm working myself up and I need to stop. Okay. So I think I talked about a little bit about something that might help, but I'll just keep going with it and you tell me what you think. When we are having a bad emotional, do you know your Myers-Briggs type? That is useful, you guys, with self-care. Oh my gosh, let me talk about that too. Let me go on to that and then come back while you're answering me, Tree Hugger. Do you know your Myers-Briggs type? If not, go take the test real quick and find out while we sit here. And we'll wait for your answer because it really is useful. It's if you are a certain type, and most of us are empath types, right? And we're mostly feelers. Okay, that's what I meant, not empath types. Most of us are feeler types. Often, sometimes we're sensors and thinkers, and that's okay too, because we're all different and we all have empathy and we all are caring people and we need to take care of ourselves. However, I'm really curious what it is, because some feeling types have a really hard time not believing their feelings more than other feeling types. If you have an FP in there, it's very difficult to have emotions get really big and not believe them, that they are what the whole world is made of in that moment. Okay. It's really hard for us to get swept. It's really easy for us to get swept into the emotion, and very difficult for us to tread water and get our heads above the water so that we can see that there's just the water. It's the same water it's always been. It's going to change. Okay. Meditation helps with that. You can slow down your thoughts and your emotions by having a mindfulness meditation practice, or turning one on and trying it anyway, even though you don't think it's going to fix it. Try things anyway. Taking walks helps with that, because movement and anxiety, it's very useful to move through the anxiety. Your body, when you're having anxiety, is being pumped full of adrenaline. And if adrenaline has nowhere to go, it's just building and building and building. And often we get a freeze response when we're anxious. And that freeze response coupled with adrenaline is horrible. Okay. So we've got to force ourselves into motion sometimes. If you cannot get out and take a walk, do some squats, do some push-ups, do some sit-ups, move your body, use your core, and see if that helps too. It helps me a ton. You got to get sweating sometimes. You got to get seriously walking, not just I walk to the corner, but do what you can to get moving. Okay, you're checking. Okay. And I'll come back to that. Okay. So this is a great point. I'm a public speaker and I have been for years, but lately I had to be cognizant of my posture in front of groups, and I never have before. Isn't it? Yes. There is a definite survivor's posture that you see. And it's not just in survivors, it's in people who've had hard times and trauma. And our bodies tell the story of our lives. Our body language, the way we carry ourselves, the way we, appear to others. So you see it, right? That's how we recognize each other too. That's how we can trust each other. Oh, I see it. Okay. But what we have to work also to disbelieve the patterns that our body has set up through the posture by altering the posture, right? In a good way. One thing that made me feel good in the past was the school I went to. So I have a flag of my school in the house, a license plate, etc., and it makes me feel good every time I see it. Excellent point, web education. Decorate your place, your surroundings. Make a sanctuary around you of things that make you feel good. That's a form of self-care. If you have removed the narcissist from your house, remove their belongings, remove the traces of them, remove the way it looks, change the way it looks from how it was when they were there. And it is a huge form of self-care because our surroundings, especially for sensitive people, are super important. Just like dirty, disorganized surroundings, or surroundings that feel like the other person. What I was talking about when I said somebody's energy stuck to me, it's exactly like that. Whoa, that got blurry. Okay. It's exactly like that. So the energy is in the room and you feel it. It reminds you, it's everywhere. So get it out, change it, put things up you like. Stopping my anxiety isn't that easy. Oh, I know. And it's not, here's the thing, tree hugger, it's not going to stop your anxiety. It's going to help you move with the anxiety. Whatever is causing the anxiety is triggering the anxiety. All right. And if it's yourself overthinking and working yourself up, then movement will help you, I think. Or, it really depends on you, on what you can and want to do with yourself. But if it is you working yourself up, if that's what your therapist is saying, and they know you better than I do, right? And you know yourself, if that's true or not, how do you work yourself up? In what way do you work yourself up? What part of yourself are you working up? And then look at things that counter that. So don't go right at, I'm going to stop this action. Look at something that takes you out of that action and puts you into some other action. Does that make sense? Because you can't do both at once very successfully. It's hard to multitask. So you use the fact that it's difficult to multitask to your favor. One thing that made me feel, let's see. Belle says, everyone's ideas and the posture is all relevant. Wait, it just jumped. Okay. The journal is a great place to begin. Yes, a self-care journal is good too. Gratitude. We didn't talk about gratitude. Gratitude is important. Okay. This is like 101 to 1. I don't know how many. This is a lot of stuff. Okay. So self-care journal, a gratitude journal, those can be one and the same. Really, really paying attention to the fact to doing it. Write down 10 things you are grateful for. Anything. 3 things you love about yourself every night, every day. I do it at night because then you go to sleep with that and your intention in the morning is set and you can read it in the morning and remember what it was you were grateful for yesterday. You carry that through your day. That is a form of self-care too. So, and then using that journal to pay attention to yourself and to write down the things that keep it only for positive things. You have another journal for the darker stuff. Okay. Keep a very positive, happy journal for this stuff. Let's see. I have to go take this test. Please do go take it. Let me know because it really does help to know. So here's the thing. Each type, ISFJ, I don't know ISFJs too well. I have to read about that. I know ISFPs pretty well, but not ISFJs too well. I like the new ones. I like when I say, oh, it's a new one. Okay. I mean, it's not new to me. Let's see. Okay. What I was going to say with the types is that there's definite ways that different personality types seem to benefit from self-care. And I polled people. I don't know how many people replied, at least 45 or so, 50 maybe. I asked people that I know, and I know their type, and that are very, very solid in their type. And I asked them, what do they do for self-care? What is the biggest recharge? And what happens if they don't do that thing? Like, what happens if it's different? And so the ENFPs, some of my favorite human beings, Love you guys. You're my buddies. Okay. I want you around me all the time, except for when I need my quiet, right? You guys are interesting to me because across the board, you would think an extrovert, if you know an ENFP, if you have an ENFP friend in your life, they're your biggest love. Okay. They are fun. You love them. They are happy a lot. They give and give and give and give endlessly to everybody around them. They're a little flighty. They don't always respond to you when they're lost in their world. They're fun, okay? You would think that type would recharge by having a party, by getting out there, they recharge in absolute solitude. In fact, they usually shut down. They shut down, they go internal. They don't want anyone to talk to them. They go in their bubble, they space out. And if you mess with that, that's when the fight can happen. That's when the issues can happen. That's when you got to let them have that space to recharge on their own. You're so used to them always being there, always being the yes man, being up, being happy, being in your face, like, we got this. They're the fun people, right? You're so used to them being that way that when they retreat, it feels like an absolute void, but they need it. Okay. They need that retreat. Absolute alone time, solitude, quiet, taking walks, whatever it is, jamming the music on their headphones, whatever, to get away from everybody else. Fascinated me. Okay. And the INFPs and the INFJs were kind of similar. I'm trying to remember them. I have to look it up, what people said. But the INFPs and the INFJs, more so the INFPs, said they needed a friend. When they need self-care, they need someone to tell them they're okay. They need a little bit of encouragement. Because INFPs, I'm an INFPJ, so I have like both. So understand this, okay? We're always in that space in our head. We're always in that introspective space, and at the same time trying to give to everybody else. Okay, so we're like the social introverts, right? So extrovert. I'm sorry, we're introverted people, but we're very social, and you would think that we would need to go off by ourselves to have that quiet. Now we need that self-care. We need that space too, but we often like to bring a friend. Very interesting. Like, I want to go take a walk in nature with a friend, one friend. And that's a form of, it feels like self-care because we need the other person to I don't know, sort of balance us when we're off kilter. It's very interesting. And yeah, it was like everybody said something like, I need a hug. I need, yes, that's not self-care, so I have to hug myself, but really what feels the best is getting myself where I feel okay enough to be around one person and going and asking for a hug. That's the self-care, asking for it. Okay, so yes, dude, trust me, this is live. Where are we? Okay. INFJ. Okay. So yeah, you see similar. I'm going to have to look it up and come back to you guys with what all ISFP kind of thought you might be. Okay. You guys are great. Yeah. So ISFP, you guys are see it to believe it types in my experience. Okay. So tell me what the issue was. Let me go back. I won't be able to find it. Was it that? I'm going to find it. Okay. Tree hugger. Anxiety. You're having okay. That's why it's hard for you, because you're a big feeler, right? Right. You guys are big feelers. And that P is like a softer, the J makes us more logical with things. Okay. It makes us more reasoning with the way we experience our feelings. I think it makes us, with the P, it's just, you go so into the emotions, and I have both. So I can get, depending on the situation, it flops either direction. I get this part. The FP is we really dive into the feeling. Okay. The feeling is when we feel, it's so deep, right? It's so much. And when you're anxious, it's so much. It's so much. Now the S, what I've noticed with the ISFP people is it's very difficult to talk them out of things. With an INFP, you can almost talk them through things a little better. ISFP, you got to see it to believe it. You need to practice. So if you say to yourself, I can't stop my anxiety, please stop saying that. Just tell yourself, I'm working on stopping my anxiety. I will stop my anxiety. Tell yourself things over and over and over. You guys tend to be a little stubborn when it comes to shifting beliefs. Okay. It's more difficult for you because you have the sensing, you notice everything around you. You notice like, you notice the way things are. They are what they are. This is orange and it's never going to be purple. You know what I mean? Even if, somebody with a really vivid imagination can kind of see purple shades in there. It's not black and white thinking, but it's very, it makes sense to you that what you have sensed in your life, what you have seen from a sensing level is how it's always going to be. Is that making sense? Is that resonating at all with you too for what your life feels like? Because if you understand that about yourself, you could say, okay, I got to relax that. I got to relax that. That part of me that wants to believe is in what I'm used to recognizing as always true. Got to relax that a little bit. That's where you might be beating yourself. That's where you might be driving yourself into the anxiety. Okay. I don't know, guessing here from like one paragraph. So if this is true, if I'm correct here, then allowing those feelings, seeing how it can be different and changing your mindset about the belief you have about why you're anxious could be important for you. There you go. That's what I got. If we take the test and reveal our types, it helps when you explain what it means. Okay, good. So, and obviously I don't know all of them and I don't know everything, obviously. And it's just like a fascination with me and I watch it in play day after day. So, okay. Okay. Reducing sugar helps your anxiety. Yes. Just using your body to reducing sugar, reducing caffeine, getting enough sleep, eating on schedule. All of those things help with anxiety too. I am live right now. Hello, Jack. I'll be here. I'm going long today. Okay. We'll go a couple more minutes and then I'm out. So, okay. Yes. Lots of feelings. Very reasonable. Yes. You guys are super reasonable people, but it's reasonable based on what you've experienced. Whereas for an intuitive type, it's reasonable based on how we, oh my gosh, I can't even explain what intuition feels, what that form of intuition feels like. But it's like, I can see a bigger picture, how that could change. Does that make sense? And you guys can see the big picture, but you see the big picture based on what you've already experienced, what is right in front of you, right? You don't go so far into this make-believe world that us N types go into, that it's just a different way of processing our own thoughts. So try it out. Sometimes when I feel way too INFP, INFJ, I think of another type that would do really well in this situation, and I wonder how they would think about it. Does that make sense? And it helps me. Like I go to the ENFPs a lot. Like I think, how would the ENFP handle this? Not that I'm going to like change my life and become like them, but sometimes, so that's strategizing. There's a form of self-care, strategizing based on how other people do things so that you can maneuver your life a little better. Not that you want to put on a mask and become them, but strategizing can be taking on different ways of doing something that pushes you through your beliefs into broadening your beliefs. Does that make sense? Okay. Hopefully. Okay. INFP. So yeah, when we're, a lot of us in here. Yeah. Okay. What am I missing? I know. I wish everyone took this early on in life and took them like every few years, because it really, especially if you're into this stuff, it really helps. It helps when you're meeting new people. Helps when you're out there like trying to date. It really does. It makes a difference. No more of certain types for me. And I'm not going to say them in case anyone is one, because I don't want to, doesn't mean you're a bad person. Just means you're not my person. You know what I'm saying? Okay. It took the test and it seems I fit most of the INFP, but not all of it. Is this due to your experience through life? You not necessarily have to fit all of it. If it's coming up INFP and you don't fit some of it, that's because, especially when, well, yes, it's because of experiences in life. It's because of traumas. It's because of beliefs. It's because of programming. And it's interesting, the more you heal, the more you become freer in your type. Does that make sense? Like you get freer and looser in it. Yeah. Okay. I see depth a lot. Yep. Artist. I also create projects, solve problems, have won awards. I'm not hugely chatty. That sounds right. Okay. And you probably have a higher I than stronger I than E. Like my IE sits in the middle. So obviously I can sit here and talk. What type? What do you mean, what type, Jack? What type what? My ex-narcissist said he was an ENFP. Oh boy, is this possible? It is. Any type can be a narcissist. Yes, INFP. Any type can be a narcissist. It's more rare in the more empathic types, like the INFP, ENFP. INFJ I think it's extremely rare. But any type can be a narcissist. In fact, I found a site, I'll have to look what the name was, where it described what it would be like if that type was a narcissist. And the ENFP, it was boastful, showy, selfish, no regard for others when it comes to time, cheaters, which, narcissists, but the more outgoing, showy, more overt types is what it said on there. Not necessarily that that's 100% true, and I don't even know who these people are who made this site, so I don't necessarily recommend it. I just thought it was an interesting thought. So, all right. She was an ESFP. Okay. You're ESFP. Yeah. I don't know any do I know any ESFPs? No, I don't. So I don't know. Yeah, there's quite a few types I don't know a whole lot about. And there's quite a few I know a ton about. So I should learn the others. It's just not as fun because I don't know people who are that type. So, okay. What did I miss? Did I miss anything here? All right, you guys. Trying to remember what other types said about self-care, and I'm drawing a blank. I don't have it in front of me. So, okay, that's it. I got to go too. So let's see. All right, you guys, hit the like button if you enjoyed today's topic. Helps me know what you guys want and don't want. Hit subscribe if you have not already done so. And to get notifications texted directly to you, text me at 33222 and put the words Lise Live, LISELIVE, all one word, and hit send, and you will be sent a notification 5 to 10 minutes before I come on every time, and that is the only notification that you'll get from us. And that's it. I wish you guys well. Happy day to you. Go do some self-care, right? Go think about it at least. Think about the self-care. You guys take care, and I hope this was helpful to you and at least gave you a laugh or two. Try. Ducat Life, hello, you're welcome. And Robin, you're welcome. And Tree Hugger, you're welcome. And all of you, I love you guys. You take care. Bye-bye.